Okay, my name is Bernadette McLean and I come from the Helen Arkell Dyslexia Centre, which is the oldest dyslexia centre in the UK. I was very pleased when Sheena Bell asked me to come today and be present at this session outlining the piloting of the TILE scheme. And I think that TILE has enormous applications for dyslexic students in the UK and obviously across Europe and the partner countries that have been involved. Particularly like the fact that it is a tool that has universal applications, that it can be individualised, that it can be used right through from vocational training into the workplace. Because one of the things that we are so aware of is that many dyslexics, once they leave the support of secondary school and move into further education, sometimes that is a kind of a limbo, and an even greater limbo when they move into the workplace. So the fact that this tool is available and is free and will be promoted, I hope, to further education colleges throughout the country and to workplaces means that there is hope for our dyslexic students to carry on with that support beyond the ages of 14 or 16. To echo the words of Richard Rose in his introduction this morning, I do reiterate that it all seems to fall apart for our dyslexic students once they come out of education, that too much of our focus on inclusion is on schooling and not beyond that. So I really applaud the fact that this effort is going ahead. I particularly like aspects of TILE and some of the comments from our foreign partners today, such as looking at inclusion from the student's point of view rather than from senior management, giving the student a voice and promoting that inclusion, and also allowing students to appreciate their differences from each other. I'm here to represent the dyslexic population, but the dyslexic population are not the only students in need of support. Dyslexia, we now know, co-occurs with a lot of other difficulties, such as those discussed this morning, like Asperger's syndrome. So we're looking at all students who need to be included, and I'm very much of a mind that all students have special needs anyhow at some point or other. So this universal application that each student has his own right for his voice to be heard and the opportunity to maximise his potential is something that I really, really support. In my role at the Helen Arkell Dyslexia Centre, I do a lot to promote professional training of teachers working with students with dyslexia at all ages. At the Helen Arkell Dyslexia Centre, we spend a lot of time involved in professional teacher training and TA training, TA standing for teaching assistants. And I personally will be going back to look at this tool with regard to provision for our students who come to work with us, because often they will include people who have special educational needs themselves. And I particularly like the reference to the fact that this can be used from the very first contact with a student. And so I would hope to think about how we could use this tool in line with our induction process and in line with that initial interview in helping to feed into the personalised learning plan that each student has. It was very exciting to hear about systems in other countries, particularly in Finland, where we know there is a very high level of excellence among the teaching staff. And I was interested in the remark that 50% of their students go into vocational training and is held in much higher esteem than it is in this country. And I hope that that is something that we can share in terms of beliefs and values in this country. It was really rewarding to hear our Czech friends talk about the importance of beliefs and expectations. We know that teacher expectation is one of the most powerful factors in determining how well our students do. And I hope that that sort of atmosphere and ethos can pervade through more widespread in UK institutions than it currently is. One of the remarks made this morning was that change can be uncomfortable. I actually feel that using tile can be a challenge rather than uncomfortable because of its universality, because of its flexibility. You can pick and choose and adapt whichever bits of it are particularly appropriate to the environment that you're working in. One of the things that Richard Rose said this morning was that we had placed too much emphasis on inclusion in schooling and not beyond that. And so I really support this notion of using tile right through vocational educational training and employment, if only because there are more adults in the country than there are children, and we can't actually neglect what happens to these children once they grow up.